just getting back to the inflation side of it. Do you have any more to add about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like you were talking about rates on rent and mortgages increasing. That's or and going along with people not getting a good enough raise or a high enough raise to match this inflation. It also goes for just like regular day products, all these consumer goods that have gone up. Understanding the gasoline inflation is because of lack of production. So I that doesn't correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't entirely fit into like the separate inflation, does it? Like as far as inflation in consumer goods and stuff, right? That's strictly
Oh,
because of lack of production.
all right. Well, that's a tricky thing, but the price of oil going up as fast as it's going up, as much as it's going up, it has effect on everything.
Right.
When I mean everything, I mean everything. It's so look at it. We're gonna break it down in a couple segments here.
Okay, okay,
So
okay. I think I see what you're leading to, but go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So let's go household structure first. Household structure first. All right. So if you're used to let's just say last year it was $2, now it's $4. So you have your kids in different after school activities and things like that, and you have your budget set up based on $2 gas. Now the price of gas doubles. So instead of paying $50 a week, now you're paying $100 a week. You
Right,
didn't get that inflation. You didn't get 50% more in a paycheck. What that does is it takes away from other things and other aspects of the household. But again, the other dynamic is COVID. Everybody was stuck in the house for call it 2 years. We call it 2 years. They were stuck in the house. Everybody has that goal to get back outside, get back outside, get back outside. And get back outside is driving the price up of oil also or gas also because demand drives prices higher. But again, you remember how I said the landlord is looking at it as, the big payback from COVID?
right,
The oil companies are also, because even though the demand is higher for oil and gas products, the oil companies are not producing more oil to meet the demand. That's why the price of gas is going higher, and it's still a windfall for the oil companies. Now you got to think back before 2019, we saw $30, $40 oil, $50 oil, and all the oil companies were suffering because they was pumping oil at a very low price. So now that's why they're not in the game on the international scale. Or we talking OPEC, like the Irans, the Saudi Arabias and stuff like that, because they're recouping all the money that when they was producing oil at a low amount, they're trying to recoup it back at a higher amount, but not producing any more oil. That's why they're slow to add to the process, because they know that if they start pumping a lot more oil, the price of oil goes down. Unlike the United States, where all the oil companies are privately owned. You can own an oil company, I can own an oil company, your mama can own an oil company. All the other countries around the world, their government owns the oil, and they use the price of oil to subsidize their living. So what I mean by that, like the SNAPs or food stamp program, we take tax revenue from people that work to fund that program. And let's say Saudi Arabia, people that's on subsidies and things like that, they use it from oil. So just so we can have an understanding here, and again, you got to remember history when oil was at 30, 40, $50 a barrel, $60 a barrel. A place like Saudi Arabia, they don't break even on the subsidies to their country unless oil is at 60 to $70 a barrel. That's when they break even. They don't even reach a profit until it gets over that threshold because of
right,
all the things that they're doing with oil. Yeah, they could produce it for a cheap price, but with all the programs that they have, government programs for their citizens, it takes a lot more money for them to break even per barrel. And then, so now it's over that 80. So now they're recouping the profits from all the years that they lost money when oil was at lower prices. That's why they're slowly bringing it back on, because they don't want to drop below that 70, $80 threshold of the break even point. And
right,
that's how it is for a lot of countries around the world. That's why a lot of countries are not just on board. Let's pump more oil. Let's pump more oil, because they know what their break even price is. It's all about economics. In the United States, everyone is privately owned. So they're looking at it individual company is looking at it, like the Exxons and things like that, the Chevrons, they're looking at it as the same that these individual countries are looking at it, but they're looking at, okay, we lost a lot of money, we spent a lot of capex and a lot of expenditures on producing oil, but now it's time for us to recoup. And they could blame it on the administration, saying, oh, the administration don't want us to produce oil or whatever. But the truth of the matter is they want to gain as much profit as they can, bring more cash flow into their business with producing less oil. So that's more oil they have in reserves for later dates.
Yeah, if you look at like oil stocks right now, like you always tease me on this one on selling Exxon when it was like at 38. It's like over $70 right now last time I checked. So
Yeah,
you can tell they're definitely profiting right now.
yeah,
But on that point where you said it's really interesting where you said about America owning their oil privately, where companies own it, because I was talking to my wife's cousin who, her family's from Venezuela, and
right,
Venezuela, from what I checked, they own 18.9% of the world's oil in the
right,
whole,
right.
and their oil prices are extremely low. And
Yeah,
she said, "Oh, but in the United States, you guys don't have a lot of oil, do you?" And I said, "Well, we have companies that, yes, do have a lot of oil, but it's privately owned. They can just simply decide to close the cap whenever they feel like it or open it back up. Whereas, in your country, the government owns it and, it's just flowing." I think diesel prices over there are like 50 cents a gallon from what she said.
I well, as you know, I used to visit Dubai a lot. The gas was like 25 cents a liter there. It was insane prices. That's why everybody can afford all those expensive cars because they don't have to pay for gas. So, and that's
Yeah.
that's the that's the dynamic of it.